with the Rams adding Allen Robinson into the fold going into next season, just how unstoppable do the Rams look at this current moment in time?
I'm not even going to cap. I know we said that they weren't going to repeat. This addition could potentially catapult them just for the sheer fact offensively. They might be the scariest team in the league. I mean, they still have enough money saved up to sign Odell from what we read in terms of what Shefty had reported. They still have enough kind of put to the side if Odell ends up deciding to stay. Robert Woods, however, is kind of on the block. I guess the Rams are taking calls from one of Shefty's latest reports. So they are kind of fielding offers to try to see what they can get. I don't know if that's to increase more cap space. I don't know if that's because they feel that Robert Woods will be outshined by Allen Robinson. And, if Odell Beckham comes back on time, we'll see what happens. But if this team, like Kyle said, does find a way to stay together, this might be the scariest offense in the NFL. I mean, that this is by far the greatest wide receiver room on paper right this very moment, potentially the NFL's ever seen. I mean, you have the big playmaking of capabilities of Odell Beckham Jr. if he comes back healthy. You obviously have the offensive player of the year in Cooper Kupp, Matthew Stafford's favorite target. You have Van Jefferson, a long, tall end zone threat, as well as a deep ball receiver that Matt Stafford loves to extend the field and extend plays. Robert Woods, another small slot receiver that can run all routes. And then, I mean, you go and add Allen Robinson, one of the highest rated wide receivers in terms of his percentage at making difficult catches as well as his drop ratio. It's insane. Like, Kyle, seriously, I'm asking you like a kind of like a rebuttal question. Have you seen a more stacked wide receiver room in history in the league?
Well, there's a couple that come to mind. I think you could probably mention the 2007 Patriots when they had Randy Moss, Wes Welker, Dante Stallworth, Jabbar Gaffney. I mean, those are four stud wide receivers, and they were able to light up not only just you know good teams, they were able to light up the entire league in that stretch from 2007. I have to go back to what the Broncos were able to do, kind of in the early to mid 2010s when they had Demarius Thomas, rest in peace, Demarius. Look at what they had with Julius Thomas, Wes Welker, Eric Decker. I mean, those were stacked wide receiver cores. And then you transition into this one with what it could potentially be if they're able to retain Odell Beckham Jr. and Robert Woods to go alongside with Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson. I mean, this is insane. And then you add Allen Robinson on top of that. I mean, Kevin, that's five wideouts that can
You
all
can't you can't
go.
double them all. You
I
just
mean,
can't.
all those guys in their own respective um, plays can go out there and get 100 yards receiving fairly easily, just because, like, give you an example. Like Cooper Kupp, he was like a fantasy dream this past season with the amount of targets that he was getting from Matthew Stafford. Like he can go out and get an easy 100 yards receiving. Odell Beckham Jr., same thing. Robert Woods, if he gets the targets, could go out there and get it. Allen Robinson, despite the fact that he's been, in a pretty difficult situation in Chicago the last couple of years, you have to respect the fact that he is just a huge dynamic wide receiver who's capable of easily getting 100 yards receiving. And with a quarterback like Matt Stafford throwing to him, I could definitely see that happening on a consistent basis. Just overall, with what the Rams have on the offensive side of the ball, it's incredible. And I think when you look at their chances as far as being able to repeat, we always kind of ask that possibility of, with a roster like this, like they could definitely make a back-to-back Super Bowl run. Offensively, they can say that. Now, on the defensive side of the ball, we kind of have to see. We don't really know what the status of Aaron Donald is going into next season. I think that's definitely going to play a major role in what the Rams are going to do this offseason. Offensively, they have the pieces to do it, but Kevin, it's like we always say, offense can get you to the Super Bowl, but defense usually wins Super Bowls, and that's the difference. Defenses win championships, but I mean, when it comes to the Rams, usually you see a lot of roster turnover when it comes to a team that wins a Super Bowl in the offseason that comes right after it. But the fact that they were able to retool and they were able to upgrade that wide receiver core with the likes of Allen Robinson, I mean, they're definitely there as far as getting to another Super Bowl next year. Whether they win it, we'll see what happens. But I have to say, if I'm a betting man at this point, I'd at least put some money on the Rams just because I can't say anything bad about that wide receiving core and that offense. That offense is going to be explosive next year, and it's going to be a nightmare for opposing defenses. That's just how I see it.